And now, I would like to introduce Chip Whitmer, who has the distinct honor of being the only man on our women's support team, which is not something we ever intended to do. However, after hearing him speak, I think you'll all understand exactly why. And then you will hear from Deanna Holland, our executive director, who works tirelessly to oversee our women's support program. Deanna pours her heart and soul into her work. She has an intimate connection with each and every woman that comes through our program, and she has some very heartwarming stories to tell you today. But now, Chip Whitmer.
Thank you. Does this work okay? Okay, we're good. So hi, I'm Chip Whitmer. I'm glad you're here. Last summer, I had dinner with some friends of mine. They have a cute little family, a mom, a dad, a 5-year-old daughter, and then a little girl who was just about 4 months old at the time. As we were visiting, I reached out to their baby, and she wrapped her tiny hand around one of my fingers. I noticed that she was looking intently at me, not just at my face, but she was actually searching for my eyes. And when we made eye contact, she gave me a huge smile. It totally made my day. Now I know she was only 4 months old, and I shouldn't take too much meaning from that beautiful smile. But what made it significant for me was the background, the circumstances where I met her parents. You see, we had met 10 months earlier on the sidewalk in front of an abortion clinic here in Salt Lake City. Someone had sent this mom there and told her that Planned Parenthood would take care of their problem. Now we know what that means. Planned Parenthood kills children. And so they were there to find information about how they could end the life of that little girl. Now I want to tell you quickly how I ended up on the sidewalk that particular morning. I had always been very strongly pro-life from a personal perspective. I argued about it on the internet, but other than that, I never actually did anything about it. I didn't know how to do anything about it. For about 8 years, starting in 2014, I worked at a little company here that was eventually acquired by MasterCard. So you have this little Utah company with Utah values, and this big behemoth from New York comes in and swallows up the company. They had very different values than the values that we had when we started out. I found myself fighting against the corporation over a number of issues where their worldview conflicted with my own. After about 1.5 years of this, early in June of 2022, my boss asked in an interview, "So how's your relationship with MasterCard?" And I told him, well, it's stabilized a bit now, but there are some things on the horizon that could affect that could change things. And he said, well, like what? And I said, well, the Supreme Court right now is considering a case on abortion. And if they overturn Roe versus Wade, and I think they probably will, I'm sure that MasterCard will feel like they have to say something about that. And if they say the wrong thing, I will quit that day. The Dobbs decision, overturning Roe versus Wade, was handed down a couple weeks later on a Friday, June 24th. The next Monday, MasterCard sent a company-wide email talking about how terrible this decision was, how it harmed all of MasterCard's employees, how they were going to start paying their employees to travel from one state to another state so that they could get abortions. This message was accompanied by an official press release where they boasted about this new policy. I read their message, I clicked reply, I added my boss and his boss to the message, and then I sent this message. I said, I quit. I cannot be part of a company that promotes killing children as part of its business model. And then in quotes, I added, we'll pay you to kill your child today so we don't have to pay for your parental leave later. I immediately closed my laptop and I was done with MasterCard. A couple hours later, I contacted a friend who was still in the company just to let him know that I had quit. And he said, oh, I know, your letter was awesome. And I said, well, how did you read my letter? And it turned out that I had inadvertently hit reply to all, and it went... So that message went to every employee in the company. I even heard that they had to bring in counselors to help them address the stress that my observation caused. So this wasn't intentional, but I was very glad that it worked out the way that it did. At this point, I decided that just being passively pro-life wasn't enough. I wanted to actually do something, so I started looking around. I heard about a group that was forming, Latter-day Saints for Life. Thank you, they're all here. I went to their first meeting and I met some wonderful people. In particular, Suzanne Mann, who's here somewhere. Suzanne, thank you. Suzanne was in charge of the mobile clinic for Pro-Life Utah, the pink van that you see over here at the time. When she heard my story, she said, well, if you're not doing anything, you can drive our van. And so I did. So here I am, 2.5 years later. And I love it. So, so every Tuesday morning, you'll find me down on the sidewalk in front of Planned Parenthood. So on that particular Tuesday, we had already finished our shift and we were in the process of packing up to leave when I turned and found this woman standing alone on the sidewalk. I'm going to call her Mama E. When I approached her, she just said quietly, I need help. So we unpacked our equipment again and we sat and talked with her for most of an hour. And we learned her story. Mama E was happily married, had a wonderful husband, had a beautiful little girl. Things were going well, but then she was assaulted and raped by a thug in her neighborhood. And now she found herself pregnant. They didn't even know if the baby was the result of the rape or not, and they just didn't know what to do. Now I'm going to ask you to think about her situation, the confusion, the injustice, and the desperation that they were feeling. I'm not asking you to think that abortion was the solution to their problems, but I want you to understand where they were emotionally and why they might have entertained that idea. While you're thinking about that, I want to tell you another story about another mom. This is Mama C. She had left her parents and traveled to Utah. She was living with her brother. They had big plans. They were going to strike out on their own and make their own way in life. But suddenly she found out that she was pregnant. Now she was sure that her brother was going to be angry when he found out that she had ruined their plans. Her parents were going to be terribly disappointed in her. To add to the complexity of all this, the baby's father was a married man, and so there would be a real commotion if people found out about this. In all of this turmoil, Mama C was afraid and timid, uncertain and desperately looking for a way out. So we gave Mama C an ultrasound where she saw her baby moving, and she saw and heard her baby's heartbeat. When we finished, she had tears in her eyes. We asked how she was feeling, and she said, I came here today to have an abortion. But after what I've seen, I don't think I can do that now. But I don't know what I am going to do. And I could tell you many more stories like this, but we don't have time today, so let me just tell you the rest of the story for these two moms. We told Mama C, let's get together and talk. And we made an appointment and met her for lunch the very next day. But I'm telling you, when she walked into that restaurant, she was a woman transformed. Her face radiated a beautiful strength and hope. She told us that she had talked to her brother, and he was supportive and was totally on board. They had decided where they were going to put the crib for the baby. They were going to wait a few more months before they told their parents. And her brother was going to go talk to the father of the baby to find out if he was in or out of this baby's life. And Mama C told me, I don't care if he's in or out. I just have to know so that I can make my plans. So we talked through the services that we offer. We signed her life grant. And then I asked her about the beautiful change that was visible in her countenance. Yesterday you were so afraid and you were worried about everything. You seem completely different today. She replied, when I met you yesterday, I thought I was all alone in this world. And I thought there's no way I can do this all by myself. I never dreamed that there would be people willing to walk this road with me. But I'm okay now. I can do this, and I won't change my mind again. Her baby boy was born 6 months later. She continues to send us pictures and to tell us how happy they are together. Thank you. On my way home from that lunch, it dawned on me The Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry are predators toward these women. They have to get them while they are still in that early phase with all of the fear, and they're vulnerable before the woman has a chance to think things all the way through. Because if she has a chance to think it through, she will gain confidence that she is strong enough to do difficult things. And that's why they hate us, because we actually empower these women. We help them to see that they don't have to kill their baby. Amen. And if they decide not to kill their child, then they have no need for Planned Parenthood. So thank you. So back to my first story. Mama E and her husband accepted the life grant. We supported them through their pregnancy. We had a great baby shower. We visited with them in the hospital when their baby girl was born. Her mom recently sent me pictures of her baby's first birthday party. We've come to know Mama E as a wonderful and courageous woman who is now preparing to testify in court against her attacker. And when I recently visited with them, her husband told me, "Thank you for everything you guys have done for my family. I can't imagine my life without my little girl." The Bible teaches that pure religion, undefiled before God, is this: to visit the fatherless and the widows in their affliction, and caring for these moms and their little children in their affliction is exactly what we do every single day at Pro-Life Utah. One thing that I love about this organization is that we come from many different religious backgrounds, but we are truly doing the Lord's work out there, and we're doing it the way that He would do it. And we are all able to experience this pure religion together. It's a beautiful work to be involved in. I invite you to join us. Go to our website, go to the volunteers page and sign up. You can help change the life of a woman in need, and in so doing, you'll change the world for the better. Thank you for being here today.